Val had fallen in love with Hazel. I don't know her last name. And he wanted to marry her, but he didn't go to church that often. But she wanted to get married in the temple. So Val got busy, did everything he needed to do to go to the temple. He went to the temple with Hazel. He married her. And then he never went inside a church again. He'd fulfilled his part of the commitment. And that would have been a little disappointing to her, I think. She died of cancer when she was quite young. I think that broke his heart. And he never remarried. He just kind of lived out the rest of his life.
Did they have kids?
Yeah, they had two kids. They had Betty Cridland and then another son, I think. But he would have been at Pilling. For sure, he had Betty Cridland. I don't think Val always wore the same clothing, kind of like some other people I know where it's like a uniform. That's what they wear, would have been like. But he always looked good because he worked for the cleaners. So his clothes were always fresh and pressed. But they looked a little bit like he was still wearing the same pants that he'd worn in the army and a shirt, clean shirt. So what was Val down there at Art's Cleaners? Was he, I don't think he worked.
Maybe he was muscle.
He didn't, he was probably like the night watchman who slept there and then ran the gambling ring. Now I know this because, just one second. I'll think of this other man's name, but he was a professional gambler, Curly Sloan. So Curly Sloan was a professional gambler. So Curly Sloan was very often at the, so whenever there's a poker ring or something going like that, there's somebody there there's somebody there who knows how to play the game. And then there's everybody else comes to see if they can beat the house. So Dad told me that Curly Sloan was one of the people who was always at the gambling ring downtown. I don't know what to call it, card pokers. I don't know what they were playing, but for sure they were doing some betting. Another place I might have seen Val was down at the races, because Doral liked to go to the races. Doral liked raising race horses. He liked ponies. He had Shoe Shop Sal and some others of his own. Now I want to tell you something about the horse racing. I would go sometimes with my dad down for the afternoon, and he would show me the racing form. He'd show me how to read it, and he'd tell me I should just pick something and pretend I was racing to keep me entertained. But my dad was often mad at my granddad, but he never ever wrote anything about it. But here's what my granddad would do. My granddad would be up in the stands and he would want to place a bet, but he didn't want to walk all the way down to the till where you place the bet. So he would just say to some kid, here's $20. I want you to put it on number 7. And then he would expect that kid would go down, put the $20 on number 7, and then come back and give him the ticket. But quite often the kid would just take the money and run. And so my granddad was quite the guy for buying services and not often getting the service that he thought he'd bought. It's a strange story when I think about it. So I would see my Uncle Val down down there sometimes at the races. But my dad didn't let me kind of go stand by him when they were lining up to buy the tickets or anything. I just was kind of like free range chicken out there. And I have no idea how old I would have been. But I think under 12. I think well under 12.
Free range chicken at the racetrack.
Yeah. How fun was that? The end.